So, are you wondering how to start with classic books? Are you wondering which are the best classic books to read? Dear Kitty, you are not alone. There were a king with a large jaw and a queen with a plain face, on the throne of England. There were a king with a large jaw and a queen with a fair face, on the throne of France. In both countries it was clearer than crystal to the lords of the state preserves of loaves and fishes, that things in general were settled forever. Number 10.
A Tale of Two Cities. Book the first recalled to life. By Charles Dickens. Chapter 1. The Period.
So, are you wondering how to start with classic books? Are you wondering which are the best classic books to read? Dear Kitty, you are not alone. Number 9. The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. By Robert Louis Stevenson. Story of the Door.
It chanced on one of these rambles that their way led him down a by-street in a busy quarter of London. The street was small and what is called quiet, but it drove a thriving trade on the weekdays. The inhabitants were all doing well, it seemed, and all emulously hoping to do better still, and laying out the surplus of their grains in coquetry, so that the shop fronts stood along that thoroughfare with an air of invitation, like rows of smiling saleswomen.
So, are you wondering how to start with classic books? Are you wondering which are the best classic books to read? Dear Kitty, you are not alone.
Classic book chest.
If the news had been of some other character, I have no doubt that the secret would have been carefully guarded by the telegraphic operator as well as by the officers of the vessel. But it was one of those events calculated to escape from the most rigorous discretion. The same day, no one knew how, the incident became a matter of current gossip, and every passenger was aware that the famous Arsène Lupin was hiding in our midst. Number 8.
The Extraordinary Adventures of Arsène Lupin, Gentleman Burglar. By Maurice Leblanc. 1. The Arrest of Arsène Lupin.
So, are you wondering how to start with classic books? Are you wondering which are the best classic books to read? Dear Kitty, you are not alone.
Classic book chest.
This rose bush, by a strange chance, has been kept alive in history, but whether it had merely survived out of the stern old wilderness, so long after the fall of the gigantic pines and oaks that originally overshadowed it, or whether, as there is fair authority for believing, it had sprung up under the footsteps of the sainted Anne Hutchinson, as she entered the prison door, we shall not take upon us to determine.
Number 7. The Scarlet Letter. Chapter 1. The Prison Door. By Nathaniel Hawthorne. So, are you wondering how to start with classic books? Are you wondering which are the best classic books to read? Dear Kitty, you are not alone.
Classic book chest.
Soon her eye fell on a little glass box that was lying under the table. She opened it, and found in it a very small cake, on which the words "Eat me" were beautifully marked in currants. "Well, I'll eat it," said Alice, "and if it makes me grow larger, I can reach the key. And if it makes me grow smaller, I can creep under the door. So either way I'll get into the garden, and I don't care which happens."
Number 6.
Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, Chapter 1, Down the Rabbit Hole. By Lewis Carroll.
So, are you wondering how to start with classic books? Are you wondering which are the best classic books to read? Dear Kitty, you are not alone. Number 5.
A Modest Proposal. For preventing the children of poor people in Ireland from being a burden on their parents or country, and for making them beneficial to the public. By Dr. Jonathan Swift.
I have been assured by a very knowing American of my acquaintance in London, that a young healthy child well nursed, is, at a year old, a most delicious nourishing and wholesome food, whether stewed, roasted, baked, or boiled. And I make no doubt that it will equally serve in a fricassee, or a ragoust. So, are you wondering how to start with classic books? Are you wondering which are the best classic books to read? Dear Kitty, you are not alone.
Classic book chest.
External heat and cold had little influence on Scrooge. No warmth could warm, no wintry weather chill him. No wind that blew was bitterer than he, no falling snow was more intent upon its purpose, no pelting rain less open to entreaty. Foul weather didn't know where to have him. The heaviest rain, and snow, and hail, and sleet, could boast of the advantage over him in only one respect. They often came down, handsomely, and Scrooge never did.
Number 4. A Christmas Carol. By Charles Dickens. So, are you wondering how to start with classic books? Are you wondering which are the best classic books to read? Dear Kitty, you are not alone.
Classic book chest.
Mr. Bennet was so odd a mixture of quick parts, sarcastic humor, reserve, and caprice, that the experience of 23 years had been insufficient to make his wife understand his character. Her mind was less difficult to develop. She was a woman of mean understanding, little information, and uncertain temper. When she was discontented she fancied herself nervous. The business of her life was to get her daughters married, its solace was visiting and news.
Number 3.
Pride and Prejudice. By Jane Austen.
So, are you wondering how to start with classic books? Are you wondering which are the best classic books to read? Dear Kitty, you are not alone.
Classic book chest.
The third kind of monks, a detestable kind, are the Sarabites. These, not having been tested, as gold in the furnace, by any rule or by the lessons of experience, are as soft as lead. In their works they still keep faith with the world, so that their tonsure marks them as liars before God. They live in twos or threes, or even singly, without a shepherd, in their own sheepfolds and not in the Lord's. Their law is the desire for self-gratification. Whatever enters their mind or appeals to them, that they call holy. What they dislike, they regard as unlawful.
Number 2.
Benedict's Rule for Monasteries. Chapter 1. By Benedict, Saint, Abbot of Monte Cassino.
So, are you wondering how to start with classic books? Are you wondering which are the best classic books to read? Dear Kitty, you are not alone.
Classic book chest.
One day, when my father had gone by himself to Milan, my mother, accompanied by me, visited this abode. She found a peasant and his wife, hard-working, bent down by care and labor, distributing a scanty meal to 5 hungry babes. Among these there was one which attracted my mother far above all the rest. She appeared of a different stock. The 4 others were dark-eyed, hardy little vagrants. This child was thin and very fair. Her hair was the brightest living gold, and despite the poverty of her clothing, seemed to set a crown of distinction on her
Number
head.
1.
Frankenstein or The Modern Prometheus, by Mary Wollstonecraft, Godwin, Shelley.